Okay. All right. You're gonna.
Sure, you can keep that.
Okay.
Just turn it off.
I will turn it off. Signing out.
Okay. Hello, everybody. How are you tonight? Everybody looks good. You're awake. Well, you're in for a treat tonight. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker. My first time I saw her, I know she doesn't remember me, but it was up in Ohio. There's a place called McGee Marsh, and they host the what is it? Sherry, tell me the name of that. Biggest week in American bird. It's right south of one of the Great Lakes, Erie. And what happens is the birds get to the lake and they go, "Whoa, this is going to take a lot of more energy than I have." And so they stop at this marsh and they stay there for about a week and they feed. And instead of have you ever looked at warblers? There's something called warbler neck. Because they get right on top of something. Well, the trees at McGee Marsh are real short. And they're on the ground, they're in the bushes, they're everywhere. It's so cool. And Julie is going to present to us tonight from Ohio, which is where she lives. And she is an amazing person. She is a writer, she's an artist, she has a degree in biology and art. Now that's a great combination, isn't it? So she can draw anything that she wants to. I'm going to move over here. I keep moving the wrong way. It's a mirror image here. And I remember seeing you, Julie, way back when. And it's so lovely to have you here in San Antonio virtually from Ohio. I watched Julie give this presentation on another webinar. And I immediately got on the email and said, "Will you do this for us?" Because what she's going to do tonight, she's going to tell you about 30 years of enhancing her own habitat. 80 acres in the Appalachian foothills of southeast Ohio. And you'll see that it's not for the faint of heart, but it is certainly, the rewards are great. It's a garden showcase. You will see stunning beauty. You will see the love that this property has been. I get all choked up when I think about it because you'll see how loved that property is. Thoughtful stewardship has made all the difference. Plus a lot of sweat and a lot of work, but the results are gorgeous. Now, what you'll get, you say, "Well, I don't live in Ohio. What's this going to be for me?" You're going to get some great ideas that you can apply right anywhere because the native plants are different, but you can get native plants and do some of the things that Julie's going to talk to you about tonight. So no matter where you live, how small or how big your property is, there'll be some good ideas. And if we ask politely, we might get Julie to tell us about her Warblerfall.
Oh, twist my arm.
I'll twist your arm. I got all the stuff to make it, Julie. I just haven't quite got it done yet. But so Julie is a fabulous lady. She's presented illustrated lectures for nature organizations, festivals, and now she's here in San Antonio. She's written books. Get this. She illustrates her own books too. Saving Jemima. I love that book. About it was a baby blue jay that got in trouble. She helped it. One on baby birds, the Bluebird Effect, and then natural gardening for birds. So Julie has a website, and you can look at all this on her website and read all about her. And she fights invasive plants and gardens, and she does songbird and bat rehab. Her family were one of the founders of Bird Watching Magazine, Bird Watchers Digest, and now it's called BWD. And it means what now, Julie?
Well, it still stands for Birdwatchers Digest, but we like to say Birds Wonder and Delight.
Birds Wonder and Delight. So that's what the BWD is. And so without further ado, I turn it over to Julie and let you enjoy her presentation. If you got questions, she'll answer those at the end. Okay? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Let me just get this up here. Oh, that's interesting. Kind of went small on me. Probably should have done a run through here. All right. Are you seeing it? I'm going to need communication with somebody.
Yeah.
You can see the screen. Okay, thank you so much. All right. Well, it's a delight to be here. And if you got choked up introducing this talk, I have worked on it since you've seen it, and you're going to get more choked up. But anyway, I'm just going to bring you to Southeast Ohio. This is my crazy looking house. We bought a raised ranch in 1992, and we glued this birding tower onto it. And in this addition are the master bedroom, my studio, and the tower, which is 42 feet high, and you can climb out on top of it and see all around. The name of my place is Indigo Hill, and it's for the indigo buntings that are one of our most abundant breeders here. Throughout the seasons, this place delights me, and this is about what it looks like right now as frost comes on, and then there'll be the winter with the snow, and I love to go out and photograph it in every season. And this is the view from the tower. So all the photos in this show were taken on Indigo Hill. It's 80 acres. We are 18 miles northeast of Marietta in the southeast corner of Ohio. We're near the West Virginia line. And I just only go into town every 7 to 15 days when I run out of food. So I stay out here because everything I need is out here. And I'm an introvert, so it works for me. I've kind of divided the property up into several parts, and I'd like to talk about the meadow first, which is kind of the most prominent feature when you walk onto the property. It's a challenge to manage because there's a lot of sumac in it, which is very woody, and it's very tough for meadow management, but it's a great wildlife plant. And the dominant sumac, now that the staghorn sumac has all been succeeded out, is winged sumac, Rhus copalinum. And I've taken a succession of photos of birds enjoying it. Here's a northern parula eating it in the fall, Cape May warblers feasting on it. And it's just puts on a terrific show. It's just starting to color up now. And oh my goodness, there's nothing like October when you have winged sumac around. So when to mow? That's the question that has dogged me for the 34 years that I have lived on this place. And finally got a mowing regime that I'm pretty happy with. My late husband, Bill Thompson III, the editor and publisher of Birdwatchers Digest, died in 2019. And this photo I took in 2018 when I begged him to please mow. The box elders had gotten higher than my head, and I was getting frantic because I knew that without mowing, there is no meadow. So mowing is necessary, but it is by nature a destructive act. And the point is not to destroy the wildlife you're trying to preserve and encourage with the meadow. So the more you know about what uses the meadow, the greater is your dilemma as to the timing of the mowing. So the chat is nesting from April through July. American woodcocks start displaying in the meadow in February, and they nest in early April. So you can't mow in February or April. And here are the other nesters in this meadow. Blue-winged warbler, April through July. Prairie warbler comes in pretty late, nests April through July, and field sparrow is nesting April through July. Then in come the box turtles in May and June, and they dig their nests. Here's a little female down on the left. I call them hen box turtles. And they lay their eggs usually in mid-June, but it seems to be getting earlier all the time. So you can't be mowing then. And here are indigo bunting and field sparrows sitting together on a rainy day and some old sumac waiting for me to go by. So summer mowing is out because, of course, the butterfly weed is up and the monarchs are breeding on it. And here's how the meadow looks in June, mid-June. It's obviously growing up pretty good. And here's how it looks in late September. It's looking about like this now. And by July, the tulip trees that are coming up in the meadow are almost head high. Here's September 8, 2019. The tall Canada goldenrod is out full right now. It's absolutely beautiful. That's my beautiful dog, Curtis Lowe there. He left me 12 days ago. So he's going to be all through the show, and I'm going to be fighting not to cry when I see him. I may or may not have arranged the laundry to sort of match the meadow colors in this photo, but I tend to hang my laundry in color coordinated bunches. So here we are, October 22. It's really beautiful out there. The sumac is colored up. It's gorgeous. But pretty soon frost is going to hit. And you're not going to mow until all that sumac's dropped its leaves, obviously. So early November. This is the witching hour for mowing in Ohio because frost has happened, usually around Halloween. And therefore you're not destroying any plants. They've gone dormant or they've died. And it's before our winter rains start. I'm assuming we're going to still get winter rains. We didn't last year. So usually around the 8th of November, my son's birthday, is when I hire the guy to come and drive my 1954 Massey Ferguson out there and mow that thing. And they have to stop about every 20 minutes to take the goldenrod fluff out of the air intake, because otherwise it'll catch fire. So here it is, November, before the rain and snow come. That's when I decided to mow. That's when I decided I'm killing the least number of things. Here we are, turtle nest hunting in mid-June. My son and daughter go out with me and we look for female turtles laying. There they are. And the nest is very distinctive. Sometimes you can't even tell they've been there, but usually you can see a sort of a little tamped down area. And I always dig down very gently with my finger to make sure there's an egg in there. And then I cage it. My best year ever, I caged 7 nests, and I know I hatched 14 baby turtles for sure, and probably more. We have raccoons, we have striped skunks, we have opossums, we have crows, and all of them love to dig up turtle nests. So I get real serious about protecting them. What you're looking for 3 to 3.5 months after box turtle lay their eggs is an exit hole, which has no tailings because it is being dug out from the inside. And you've got a baby turtle barely larger than a quarter coming out of it. And oh, do I love to be there for that. So my philosophy in caring for these 80 acres is I remove the plants I don't want to make room for the ones that belong here. So here we are. We have lived here for 10 years. It's 2003 when this picture was taken. And we had no idea that unless we mowed and cut and hauled brush constantly, we would be growing multiflora rose, which is that tangly stuff you can see there in the rows of the old orchard. And we would lose access to our own land from this Asiatic invasive. So here I look at this photo and I'm absolutely horrified by the amount of multiflora rose that is here. So in 2018, we had a derecho come through and it felled 32 trees on the place. It was devastating. It was about the low point of trying to manage this place because when you get trees falling across where you drive your tractor and the paths you keep clear and you can't get the tractor through, you're in big trouble. So after my husband died in 2019, I had an Amish crew come and re-roof and re-side my house. And they were done with the roofing in 14 hours, one long day. And as they were leaving, I said, "Do you know anybody who does land clearing?" And they said, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, we got some guys who'll do that." So 3 teenagers with 2 chainsaws and a skid steer came down here, and they got busy on a rainy March day. They weren't even wearing raincoats. They were wearing hooded sweatshirts, which got completely soaked. And those guys worked all day. And they were here for a few days. And here's how it looked before, the orchard looked before they were here. And afterwards, I had a nice pile of wood that I started burning and burned that pile for a couple of weeks. And I had a vision here. There's my son Liam. We called it Viking games. He would throw the logs onto the fire. And it was this primal joy to keep this fire going. It was very rainy and cold, so it was not a danger. And there was cleared area all around it with no grass. So we kept it going and just burned up the wood in place. And then we only cracked. That boy is Myron Strott. He's an 18-year-old at the time, Amish kid, who had never run an antique tractor, but that didn't stop it. He just climbed on board and figured it out. And I am imagining wildflowers as he goes around and around with the disc. Then I seeded with native prairie seed from Ohio Prairie Nursery. And if you want to do that kind of thing, you just get some native Texas seed. I'm sure there are lots of wildflower nurseries available in Texas. You have fantastic wildflowers there. So we'll come back to that meadow first. But first, I want to talk about what multiflora rose does. When trees fall, the rose uses that as a nursery because, of course, you can't get to it to cut it. And it springs up beneath their trunks. So if anything falls, you've got to get the tree out of there or you're going to grow more multiflora rose. And what a mess. These walls are 12 feet high of rose there. So I started out thinking that I could do this all manually. And I don't want you to do what I did, which is buy 3 or 4 sets of Fisker's bolt cutter style cutters and cut the multiflora rose by hand. I have a permanent trigger finger on my right hand and another one starting on my left because I just chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped. My husband always told me, don't use a chainsaw. Don't even look at the chainsaw. You will cut your leg off. You will cut your foot off. You will kill yourself. You can't even touch that chainsaw. Well, when he was no longer around, I decided to buy myself a chainsaw and learn how to use it. And for me, the magic was the battery-powered chainsaw because I don't get along very well with gasoline-powered hand equipment. So I got a battery-powered Stihl MSA 200C. I got the biggest one I could safely handle with a 14-inch bar. And I made some mistakes, but I have yet to cut any limbs off. So on a typical winter morning, I will go out before breakfast and clear something. So this is about a 3-hour session here. This is what it looked like when I started. And that's what it looked like when I finished. I basically cut everything that wasn't native and made a brush pile. And I suddenly had a view of the meadow, which was very satisfying. So I then, of course, I have so much to do here. It's never ending, but this was along my driveway. It was totally overgrown with autumn olive, Eleagnus. And so I had to get rid of that. So I used my little John Deere and made these bouquets of autumn olive and cut, and I poisoned the stumps with Brushmaster, and that hasn't come back. So I just want to show you a little bit of how I haul massive amounts of brush by myself. You can't pull it by hand. There's nothing heavier and harder to hold than brush. But what I do is I lay a strap down on the ground and I pile the brush on top of it and I tie it around and then I hook it into the back of my tractor. I don't think this is a video. Let me see. No, that's not a video. And then what I do is this morning, fading fall afternoon, I've been clearing this edge of honeysuckle. The entire thing looked like this. And what you have here is dying sumac and a few dogwoods, which I'm trying to save, having been completely subsumed by honeysuckle. I've gathered a pile far, far, far too big for me to drag by hand, too heavy. I have laid my strap straight out on the ground and piled the brush on top of it, brought the 2 ends together, tied a couple slip knots, and now I'm going to hook another end of the strap with a hook on it, back of my tractor. And with this, I'll be able to haul this massive thing and get it to the burn pile. And I did. Here we go. Crazy, huh? Take it slow and easy so we don't lose any brush. But that monster's coming along whether it wants to or not. Woohoo! There's always cackling involved when I haul a big brush pile. And I've figured out that on a work day and I do almost all of this in winter because the poison ivy is not leafed out. On a work day, I've figured out I can assemble and haul about 4 of these monstrous piles of brush before I wear out. So I know how to pace myself. This is my son standing on top of just one of my brush piles for scale. I make these all over the place, and I find a place in the meadow that has particularly bad sumac, and I haul it there. And then when I burn it, I burn that sumac too. So here's the backyard pile. And here is a pretty thrilling video of a smoked NATO. Woo! God, I love a good fire. I hire about 3 or 4 guys to come and help me burn because I don't like to do it by myself. They've got their shovels at the ready. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. I'm burning a huge Colorado blue spruce that succumbed to spruce disease, which is sweeping through the Midwest. Blue spruce decline, it's called. And it's a fungal disease, and there is no treating the tree for it. They just all died. So I figured I'd burn this one before it died. Colorado blue spruce wasn't meant to grow in humid places anyway. So when that was all burned, I had a beautiful burn patch. And this to me is a thing of true beauty because the soil has essentially been sterilized here. So I had gathered some New England aster seeds the fall before, and I sowed them. And I sowed them in the spring, and that same summer, there they were by mid-September. I was riding along on my tractor, and I saw a hint of purple through the goldenrod, and I thrashed through it all and found this little brigadoon of New England aster and all kinds of beautiful prairie vegetation that I'd planted and kind of forgotten about. So that was the single most thrilling vegetation moment I've had on this place, was when I fought my way through to that gorgeous, gorgeous patch of asters. So the other thing that I like to do in the winter is free trees. So what I do is I just wear an old Carhartt coat and I keep a clippers or 2 in my pocket, and I just pick a tree and I cut everything off it. And I find that if you free a tree, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 every morning, by God, you have a bunch of free trees then. And the orchard starts to look like this instead of like a hall of multiflora rose. And then the dogwoods burst into bloom, and you've really got something because you can see them, because the rose is gone. Now, if you look beyond my dog there, you'll see a white dogwood, and beyond that, you'll see this green wall. That was the last thicket of multiflora in the orchard before I took it down with the help of 2 friends who came to help me. And oh, the rewards of seeing dogwood flowers dancing free in the air. Ah, it's the best. My dog is sitting there by the graves of Bill and Elsa Thompson, who started Birdwatchers Digest in 1978 in their living room in Marietta, only 20 miles away from me. Green burial. And that's how it looks from Tower Top in April. Pretty satisfying. So let's go back to that wildflower patch that we planted and seeded, and it was planted in, like, I think it was March. And here's the burn pile there. All the wood just went to ash. There it is in July 9, 2020, with my daughter and son admiring the plains coreopsis coming up. That first year is really something because it's all annuals and they're all so happy, and it's just beautiful. I threw a few poppies in knowing they wouldn't persist just because I wanted that color. Happy little honeybee. I'd say that's a good use of a Massey Ferguson tractor. So it didn't stay looking like this. The Plains coreopsis all kind of faded away and was taken over then by wild bergamot and false woodland sunflower, which are the dominants now. And the bergamot is a terrific attractant to swallowtails. I've seen as many as 70 tiger swallowtails in one sweep. It's really nice to be able to see a lot of butterflies in this day and age. So it is now coming up to purple coneflower, which is a plant that takes a very long time to mature and start blooming. And so that was planted in 2020, and we're now in 2025. And this is more what the meadow looks like now. Incredible color range. And oh my gosh, it was so beautiful this spring because we got rain. You can see the false woodland sunflower, the purple wild bergamot, and the beautiful coneflower. This is about mid-July this year. This is obviously one of my happy places. Hey, Curtis. You can hear a scarlet tanager singing in the background. Tufted titmouse. White-eyed vireo. So there you have it. 5 years after planting, this meadow just gets better and better and better. And I do mow it in November along with all the rest to keep the trees out. There's the wild bergamot. Joe Pye weed, I wish I had more of that. It tends to get choked out by the goldenrod. There's not a lot I can do about that, but look at all the swallowtails on it. And purple coneflower, queen of the prairie there, love that stuff. And there's lots of tall thistle, which is wonderful because it's blooming right now. And everything else is completely done and gone to seed. But there is the tall thistle just there for the hummingbirds and the goldfinches and the butterflies and the crab spiders. There are the American goldfinches taking the seeds, and they line their nests with the down from the thistle. So they nest very late. There's my son and his girlfriend, Ayla, popping out from behind a big butterfly weed. I have been cultivating butterfly weed. If I find a nice one in the meadow, I'll mow around it. And when you mow around butterfly weed, it gets real big because it doesn't have competition for light and resources. So that has been really fun. And I'm also mowing around patches of mist flower in the orchard. What used to be called Eupatorium celestinum. I forget the new genus name, but it is one of my favorites. I also call it wild ageratum. I just love it. And you can see some tall butterfly weed in the back there. And there it is. This is a very, very special patch of mist flower. My dog is buried right there. So between the, I'm trying to get this liatris going too, but it seems to be pretty fussy about being crowded. So it does very well on the open soil of graves, but not elsewhere. And there's my husband's grave when in April 18, 2020, a year after he died. And there's what it looked like after I planted it. I think living plants are the best memorial you can use. They make destinations. Here, Bill and Elsa's grave planted in coneflower. And I recently dressed it up a bit. We had a very dry summer, so the coneflower didn't get quite so tall, but it'll get there. Elsa and Bill. And makes a beautiful place to sit. My daughter likes to go out there and do her work on her laptop, watch the butterflies. I call it my orchard office. So here's just a little sample of the bird song. And woodpecker, hooded warbler, cerulean warbler, wood thrush, scarlet tanager, ovenbird, hooded, red-eyed vireos overall, and the dog. Big warbler. Oh, that scarlet tanager is so beautiful. One of my very favorite things to do is go out on a spring morning and just jot down all the birds I can hear singing. It's my Sudoku. It's how I keep my brain going. And I've come around on Merlin. I wasn't crazy about the app for a long time, but now I believe that everybody should be a wizard. And I'm so thrilled that we have an app that will help people know what is singing all around them. So since I've cleared the multiflora and the autumn olive and the Japanese honeysuckle out of the orchard, here are some of the birds that have come in to breed. Scarlet tanager carrying food, yellow-throated vireos nesting, ovenbird feeding moths to its young in the orchard. I've actually found a nest 2 summers ago and watched the babies fledge from it, and black and white warblers nest at the bases of the tree trunks. It's just such a thrill. And these are lousy photographs, but who's ever photographed a baby Kentucky warbler with his dad? So I was thrilled to pieces to have Kentucky warblers move into the orchard, and they bred every year. So the end of the orchard is really my favorite place on the place. And when I had 20 minutes here, I dashed out there before the show here just to sort of settle myself at the end of the orchard. So let's go to the yard. So we've done the meadow and the orchard. Now the yard. I have a lot of fun in my yard because I plant anything I want. I have so much native vegetation and I fight invasives all the time that I plant fun ornamentals around the yard in addition to native plants. So one of the most incredible trees I know, and this isn't going to be real useful for Texans, but gray birches. And I'll just sing their praises because I know a lot of you know folks up north or have lived up north, but they don't really belong in Ohio either. But they are such a potent bird attractant that I'll just run you through a few species using them. White-eyed vireo on the right, hooded warbler. Cape May's, yellow warbler. What happens this time of year in September is usually about in July, they start getting infested with aphids. So much so that when I mow under them, I get aphids down my shirt. So many aphids. But that is a bonanza for migrating birds because aphids are high in both protein and sugar, and they love them. It's like candy. So I get crazy, crazy numbers of warblers coming through here because they know birches from their northern nesting grounds, and they see them and they're like, wow, birches in Ohio. Let's go look for aphids. So here we are. And so it's just amazing. So I have the yard is thickly planted with gray birches, which are great because they aren't going to fall on your house. And even if they did fall on your house, they'd break before anything in your house would break. So you can have trees right up close to your windows without worrying about them breaking them. So with all the aphid sugar going around with the pee of the aphids raining down, you get scale on these things too. And you get ants running up and down the trunks. And then what you get is warblers grabbing the ants and anting. So this is something that happens every year that I just watch for and so enjoy. So we've got a black-throated green warbler on the left and a Cape May warbler anting. And since I don't feed birds in the summer, the only thing here for the goldfinches to eat are thistle and birch seeds, in addition to grass seeds and weed seeds. And the birches provide all the food the goldfinches need for their babies. So I hear them begging out there all day long. And when the common redpolls come through, rarely, they go straight to the birches. And the beautiful thing about birches is they are dispensing seed from about May until, well, actually like July through April. So all late summer and fall, all through the winter and into the spring, these things are dispensing seeds from little cones. And you can see the seed shadow under the tree and the junco tracks from the birds that are grabbing them. And chickadees love to nest in birches in old woodpecker holes. This is a crazy redheaded woodpecker who stayed for a couple of months one winter, who squeezed himself into a chickadee hole to sleep in until I gave him a proper roost box to sleep in, which he readily accepted. So it's because birches are short-lived and attacked by all the insects you can think of, caterpillars, loopers, aphids, scale, that birches are of tremendous value to birds even after they die. And here's the undertaker just putting the final nail in the coffin of one birch tree. But as you can see, I've got a couple saplings coming up next to it, because I have a system here where I hang my hanging baskets out of the reach of the rabbits and deer in the birches, and the seeds rain down onto the damp, always damp soil of the baskets, and I get seedlings, which I then grow up. And when a clump or a tree dies, I just plant a couple seedlings underneath it, and they take off, and the cycle continues. So the other tree I love very much is Japanese maple, because they've got fine, dense twig structure. They're great for nesting birds, chipping sparrows, robins, cardinals, blue jays, they all love to nest in Japanese maples. And these trees that you're seeing here, the big ones, are actually bonsais that I grew in pots for 20 or 30 years and then planted out. So there's one in the pot, which has now been planted out since that picture was taken. And then there are a couple of others that I planted out and liberated. So here's some of the birds that nest right in around the yard, chipping sparrows and cardinals. So let's talk about some of the wildflowers that I love to grow. Cardinal flower is, of course, a wet ground plant. And the trick to growing cardinal flower is to plant it near your bird baths, so that every time you have the hose, you can douse the cardinal flower and fill your bird bath. I don't know what that orchard oriole is doing. It's just hoping there's food there because it's a baby orchard oriole. And this is Missouri primrose, showy Missouri primrose, fantastic plant. And the secret to growing this stuff is when it has bloomed in the late spring and starts to look ratty, cut it down to the ground and it'll do it all over again. I put this slide in because it makes me laugh. Native garden design can help save pollinators. Oops, there's nothing native in that photo. I try to stick to stuff that's native to the US as much as possible. The salvias are fantastic for hummingbirds, and you have a bunch of great salvias native to Texas. Guaranitica, I think, is native to Mexico. I love to grow that. And up here, I dig a couple of tubers. It makes these potato-like tubers underground, and when winter comes, I dig those up. I know it's a perennial for you guys, but I have to dig those up and put them in the fridge and then grow them again in the spring. But it's just a great butterfly attract, or a hummingbird attractant. You can see the pollen all over that bird's forehead, the white pollen. And the lovely thing about cherry chief, autumn sage, is that it makes a bunch of small flowers every day fresh. So the hummingbirds have like a trap line, and they can just come by and know they get a fresh flower every morning to feed from. So I sprinkled that in among my beds. It's a great one, salvia. And this is my back patio bed that I grew a zinnia this year called Aurora, which is that beautiful sort of flesh-colored thing, coral. And it was a great success, except the plants were enormous, and I had to stake them in 6 ways to Sunday. So here we are, Salvia gregii and Guaranitica. And Crocosmia is a plant that is native to Africa. It's a bulb. And weirdly, it has become established almost globally. Apparently, it grows like hedges in Scotland along the roads. And it grows in Costa Rica along the roadsides. And it grows in Ohio. And this is what it looks like after a bunch of years when it finally gets established. And that is just buzzing with hummingbirds. I have not found it to be invasive, as in spreading beyond the cultivated soil of my gardens, but I could be wrong. So I had this corner. We all have these corners in our yard where you can't do anything. You can't grow anything, and you can't mow because you can't get your tractor in there. So I had these guys just cut off the corner for me and make me a patio. The kids sealed the deal. I wish it looked that nice now. I spend so much time weeding that damn thing. But the first summer was pretty fantastic before anything grew in the cracks. And I planted the thing in like early July. I planted my new patio bed there, and it never looked that tidy and wonderful again. So I love to go back and look at these photos. What if I started over? So, but that turned out to be a really good move, because I could sit out there in the evenings and just enjoy the place. And I like to have some things around that are fun at night. Real time. This is not a time lapse. That is Enithera glazioviana, the large flowered evening primrose, which when I planted it, I understood was native. Now I have come to find out is actually native to Brazil and naturalized throughout Europe and North America. I can even find it growing here wild in Ohio. And it is such a hoot, because the flowers of this plant are up to 4 inches across, and they snap open at dusk, which makes for a fantastic show. And they attract the big sphinx moths. You can feel the wind from their wings when they come in. My son was playing atmospheric music in the background. But that's the beautiful Pandora Sphinx as photographed in low light there. That's why it looks gray. And I have held many an evening primrose watch party for these gorgeous plants. They're just so fun to do, videos of them opening, and to make bets on which one is going to open next. But it takes a certain combination of low light and temperature for them to open. And you can kind of predict when they're going to open at any given time. So I also love fragrant flowers. So I've planted tuberoses all around the yard. And I had great fun with them for 20 years or more, until the deer discovered how delicious they were. So now I grow them all in a garden enclosure. Here's a little tip for bringing in birds that you can do anywhere. I bake my eggshells in the oven until they just start to brown. It sterilizes them. I crunch them up and put them in a peanut butter jar, and then I throw them out on the sidewalk every day. And for 34 years, I have had as many as 17 barn swallows coming by all summer long, 4 or 5 times a day. And when they run out of eggshells, and they do because they eat so many, they actually fly up to the kitchen window and hover so that I can be told that I have to go out and put more out. And the reason they're so attractive is that the soft flying insects, the barn swallows and purple martins and other aerial insectivores eat, are very low in calcium. And these guys desperately need calcium, so they crave eggshells. So there they are. And they know me, and they actually will follow my car when they see it on the county road, because they know that as soon as I get home, I'm going to throw out some eggshells. So let me just tell you, I know you asked me to tell you, I'm going to tell you about my pandemic project. I wanted to do something. For years, I'd been thinking about making the perfect bird bath, because I'd been observing birds in my yard coming to various commercial fountains that I had bought. And I thought, there's just got to be something that will attract them, that's just like a magnet. So I started messing around with materials and different kinds of pumps and different kinds of basins. And I created something I call the Warblerfall. Bluebirds, of course, love it. A friend of mine, I started to write up an article for Birdwatchers Digest about how I did it. And it would have had to have been probably in 2 to 3 installments because there was so much that went into it. And a friend of mine said, no, 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 you don't want to do that. What you need is a one-page website where you can sell the plans and have people build it themselves. And I was like, oh, okay, let's do this. So she said, you've got to make a pitch that only takes 2 minutes. So here you're going to hear me talking faster than I've ever talked in my life.
Is your bird bath hopping busy with birds? No? I can help. If you're watching this, you're a bird lover like me. You bring them in with food, even plant the things they like. But wouldn't it be cool to lure in some more unusual birds like warblers, vireos, tanagers, and kinglets that won't come to feeders? I took all these photos from my studio window. And why are these seldom seen forest birds hopping around in my garden? Because of the homemade bird fountain bubbling away just below. I'm going to show you how to build the perfect bird fountain, one that so closely imitates nature, small birds find it irresistible. There's nothing like it in stores, I know. I've searched high and low for decades. Nothing I found was what birds wanted. Finally, I decided to build my own. My invention is the single most effective bird attractant in my yard, and I have one heck of a yard. I'm Julie Zickefoose, naturalist, artist, and author. I commune with birds through science, art, and spirit. As contributing editor to Birdwatchers Digest, I've been writing and painting covers for the magazine for 36 years. I raise and rehabilitate wild birds so I truly understand what they want and how they think. This do-it-yourself video tutorial and detailed guide will show you how to build a Warblerfall, the tested, true, best bird bath I've found. I've done all the thinking and legwork to help you build a lovely spa that will draw hard-to-attract birds right to your garden. In case you're afraid special tools or knowledge are required, fear not. Nor is it expensive. You can make this luxury bird spa for under $60 and have lots of fun doing it. It looks deceptively simple, but I've put years of research into this and I'll give you all my secrets for success. The key to the Warblerfall's magnetic attraction to birds is its perfect recreation of bathing spots they seek out in nature. Think you don't have interesting birds around? Wait till they hear the water music you'll create. Keep your field guide handy. Your Warblerfall will bring in birds you didn't know you had.
It's true. It's all true. And that's my Bobby Flay moment. And here is September 13, 2023. We have bay-breasted Blackburnian and Cape May warblers all bathing together. And this is a crummy picture, but there are 9 individuals of 5 different warbler species at once. And the demand is so high this time of year when it's especially in a dry fall like this one, that I do an auxiliary warbler fall on the ground for the spillover from the birds who there's no room to bathe in the main one. So it is mostly the sound of the water that brings them in, and then the sight of the moving water, and the fact that the levels that are exactly the shallowness they require. So I have a friend who's a biologist, an incredible naturalist, who lives only about 20 minutes from me by the winding country roads. And she made this compilation video, just one of many, many compilation videos of the craziness that happens at her warbler fall. I love that. The bunny. But it gets better. She got the ultimate warbler fall species last winter. Bald eagle. The second time he took the crow's warning. You heard that crow in the background go. That's the crow's word for person. So that crow had seen a human, and the first time the bald eagle thought, okay, you saw a human. But when the crow gave it again, he was gone. So I keep a bath list, and I was absolutely thrilled to add species number 82 to my Warblerfall list, and that was a least flycatcher this September. It's a pretty crazy bath list, including things like, oh my goodness, I've had white-winged crossbill in it. I've had dickcissel, multiple Lincoln sparrows. They get a little crazier the farther down you go. Golden-winged warbler, red-headed woodpecker, Louisiana water thrush. It just goes on and on. So I take great joy in listing things on my property. And if you'd like to find some plans, you can go to warblerfall.com and you can see that Bobby Flay pitch again, and you can order it for only $29. Now you're just ordering the plans and a PDF and an instructional video. So you're not getting the actual fountain in the mail, but it's lots of fun. And it's so much fun, and it's the thing is so effective, and the viral spread of people's joy in this invention is so great that I went from a plastic hobbyist greenhouse, which was dreadful, but brought me a lot of joy, to this. And the Warblerfall has paid for about half of this structure now, and it just keeps perking along. You only live once, you might as well have a real greenhouse, especially if it's going to get cold. And this is what it looks like in the winter. And I get to go in there and sit and read and work on my computer and just revel in the fragrances and the colors of some of my favorite plants. And I grow some crazy stuff in there. I grow these Huernia zebrina, which is a member of the Apocinaceae or dogbane family. It grows in southern Africa, and it's pretty easy to propagate. And I grow these little things, and then I send them through the mail to people with a little pitch on my blog or on my Facebook page. So lots of fun there. And I also am propagating this incredible hibiscus called Creole Lady. And I still have, I think I have 7 of them now, and I got to find homes for them. So if you know anybody wants a hibiscus, just let me know. And I send those through the mail as well. And people laugh at how I package them, but I don't want them to get hurt. So I do what I call bomb-proof packaging. Here is Creole Lady opening over the course of a day. Time lapse, of course. She changes color through the day, goes from sunset colors to yellow and violet. And I delight in taking time lapses of these beautiful things opening. And this is how I make it through the Mid-Ohio Valley winter. I don't have a beach anywhere near, and I don't have any place I fly off to. I just stay home and I sit around in my greenhouse and play with plants. The problem with making your place as beautiful as possible is that your daughter is going to decide she needs to get married on your place. And that happened this summer. I was preparing for this wedding for well over a year. This is her then fiance, Oscar Beogoya, who is native to the Canary Islands, which is a little piece of basalt in the Atlantic, about 500 miles off of Morocco. And he is one of the most lovely and genuine and brilliant people I've ever met. And she met him over in the Canary Islands when she was on a 2-year Fulbright. She had only been there 4 months when she met Oscar, and they fell madly in love. So we decided that I would start mowing. Well, I decided to start mowing the wedding grounds, as I called them, in April year before the wedding, which was at the end of July. So you're looking at a recovering wedding mom right now. And so I mowed around the butterfly weed, and those were islands in the field there. Let me see, is this a video? Yes. The idea being that I wanted to mow for long enough that I got a grass dominant cover, which was free of the crunchy mown sumac stems and tree stems that were there, if I hadn't been mowing it for a year and a half. So I started mowing with the plan to do this. And the big day finally came, and we put up a tent because, of course, it hadn't rained for weeks and weeks. And then right at the end of July, it started raining again. So we had to have a tent. It was hotter than the hinges of hell that day, but it was beautiful, and it came off perfectly. And there's the proud mom with my son, Liam, who looks a lot like his dad, and Phoebe, who I think was the most beautiful bride I've ever seen, and Curtis, who made it to the wedding and wore a laurel collar and walked me down the aisle. It was pretty fantastic. My best friend officiated, and there they are. The yard filled up with happy people and champagne. There's Phoebe being greeted by my dear friend Mimi on the sidewalk there. The tower top is viewed from above. My brother took this drone photo. So watch out. If you work real hard and you make your place beautiful, you might have to throw an event for 140 people. And that, my friends, is a high use for any garden. Thank you. This is the end of the program.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing not only your beautiful plants, and all your cool tips, but your heart and soul with us. We really appreciate all of that. I hate to hear about Curtis because he was kind of the star of the show that I watched previous to this one. Curtis
Yeah.
kind of was I don't know what he was, kind of the maitre d' of the farm. I don't know.
He
But
was the greeter. Yep.
he was a lovely dog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm talking here. Okay, never mind. They know who I am. Okay, so does anybody have any questions or that you would like to ask Julie? Anybody online? Just a second, you have to talk into the microphone so the people on can hear you. Hi. Too close. Yeah.
Really incredible. Thank you so much. Have you ever heard of Medina orange oil?
No.
It's a natural thing made from the rind of oranges, and it kills broadleaf everything. It's all natural, and you use it in it's a concentrated form, and it's called Medina orange oil. I really recommend it for natural broadleaf anything.
Nice.
And you use a little soap and water, a little Dawn, detergent soap to stick to the broadleaf, and it works really beautifully. It's all natural.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Where do you get it? Online?
I probably can get it's called Medina, Medina orange oil. And
Okay.
32 ounces, about probably $32 now a bottle, but it's well worth it. It also keeps you sprayed around your house if you have scorpions, and it will keep insects out naturally as well.
Wow. Okay. I'll look into it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone on the Zoom? No question? We were just all enthralled listening to you and looking at the beautiful pictures. The thing that struck me, and I want to just kind of confirm it, we get the idea that to attract wildlife and all this stuff, we always have to use only natives. But that is not, I tell people, you don't have to dig up everything you already have, just
Right.
add to it. I love what you said. I just take out the things that I don't want anymore and add some more of the ones that I do want. And
Yes.
so it's kind of that like that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
I would say that's true. Yeah. I'm trying to get to stop share here, and I can't see my cursor. So I'm not sure how to do this. Yeah. So anyway, I can, let me see if I can get to the chat. My cursor isn't showing up, so I can't. Oh my goodness. Now you've disappeared.
Let's stop the sharing. I will stop sharing,
Oh.
so we could see.
Our technical wizard here stopped your share.
See, now there's a question.
Okay, what's your next big project on the farm?
On the farm?
Yeah.
I am resting now because the wedding was my big project. And I had so much stuff done to prepare for that, including totally clearing my quarter-mile driveway and putting new gravel down and totally clearing the oil access road, et cetera, that I can rest for a little while. But I can't rest for long because I am always removing invasives. You have to, especially if you don't use poisons. You have to keep cutting, and I do.
Well, you deserve the rest.
I do. I really do. I actually messed up one of my knees, and I got plantar fasciitis in both feet. So I am in active recovery now from both those things.
Well, take good care of yourself and that property, and come back again and show us the pictures of what you've done in a few, a little while down the road.